Hello, hello. Do we have everybody? I'm assuming everybody was just sitting outside the door ready to go, right? Just like so excited for this. If you noticed, I worked some of the annual plan into my sermon to keep this meeting even shorter. Do you like how I did that? See? So keep this cut down. Exactly. Keep these meetings short. I do remember, Laura, you may remember this, back in the day, when I first arrived at Ashworth, we had monthly business meetings on Sunday nights, once a month. And I can remember one month, our business meeting was 13 minutes long, and we celebrated that was the shortest business meeting we'd ever had. I don't think we're going to get that one here, but there was a lot of rejoicing when it moved to quarterly and then to annually, so awesome. Well, welcome everyone. Thanks for being here. Normally I would have Amy up here. Liz is in the booth helping us out, so it's just me today. Sorry about that. You've heard me speak a ton today. Amy, I think, is driving home from vacation right now. But there's really no huge surprises in the plan. You should have gotten a copy of it ahead of time through the newsletter and all that, so you've had a chance to look at it. Everything is pretty, at this point, 17 years in for me, we just kind of keep the ball rolling, right? We just kind of keep moving forward. And so let's kind of walk through the plan as we go. And, our mission doesn't change. It hasn't changed. And I still love the word connection. We've been a church of connection for a long time, and I think that still describes what we're trying to do. 3 areas of connection: connect people with Jesus. Why? Because Jesus changes everything. He is the foundation. He's the root. He's the core. That's where it always begins. And then secondly, not quite as important, but just barely a smidge underneath Jesus, is connecting to one another. We believe faith is not an individual sport. It's a team sport. Most of the New Testament, when it says you, it meant you all together. And so we want to help you make connections here with the people around you. I love that we have both services here right now because you guys don't get to mingle very often. But we want to help foster those relationships. We're not love doctors or anything like that, but we want to create spaces where we can come together and get to know each other better. And then finally, that third area of connection is our community. We don't exist for what happens in these 4 walls only. We exist for also what happens. So that's why we go to the Faith and Grace Garden. That's why we turkey pick every year. That's why we encourage you to have conversation with friends and coworkers and neighbors and use that to talk about the importance of your faith. Because telling others about Christ is important, and we don't want it to just be us 4 and no more. So we still believe that this connection language describes who we are and what we're trying to be as a church. And make sure you notice the pictures on the screen. Look at that lovely group picking turkeys right there. You can just smell the turkey right now, can't you? Those of you that have done it, you can just, I know what that smells like. As we think about helping you connect with Jesus, look at this list of things that we've done over the last year. We're not all about activity, but we've created some opportunities for you to take advantage of. Wednesday night prayer, women's book studies, baby dedications, Advent, Christmas Eve Christmas Eve services. I'm not going to read them all. There were some others that I thought about, like even Suki's art out in the foyer. Isn't that beautiful? That woman continues. She just shows up and she's like, "I've got new art for you." And I'm like, "Amazing, thank you." And they always have a beautiful description, and now they've got augmented reality, and they're wonderful. I guess it is on their interactive art. Good Friday services, all this. I do want to reiterate what I said in my message. We're intentionally not scheduling every minute of every day for you. What we're hoping to do is settle into healthy rhythms and help you also settle into healthy rhythms individually and together. And so this has been our last year. Lots of things going on. Look at those next pictures on the next screen. I love the one on the top left there. Kids in the park. That's when Carrie and Jen took them to go pray in the park one Sunday morning. There's our women's retreat. We've got our rooted artwork. And then, of course, our Christmas Eve service. I love pictures. They are better than words most of the time. How do we connect with one another? Some of this is going to be changing in the coming year because we think this is one of the focuses that we need to have. But you see, we have youth, we have kids, we have our senior adult lunches. You may wonder, well, who gets to come to that? Whoever wants to. We let you decide who's a senior. We don't put an age limit on it. You can be a senior in high school. If you're free at lunch, feel free to come on. We wouldn't turn you away. Women's ministries, men's ministries, we've been a little lax on, but that's something we're going to focus on the coming year. Parties, trivia nights. Who are my trivia people? You enjoy that trivia night? I know those guys in the middle do because they won last time, right? There you go. Took in the trophy home. And then we've got some pictures of some of those connections on the next slide there. You see our senior adult party. Randy, do you still have that hood, mask? Yeah. That we had a, what do we call it, a dirty Santa or whatever. And that was the gift. What would you say, Liz? White elephant, thank you. Lynn Kumagai brought that mask for the senior lunch, which was amazing. You got our youth Christmas party, kids, that was the kids' Super Bowl party, and then our Thanksgiving meal that we have about every year. So next we get to say welcome to some folks that have started joining us over the last year. And you see Maddie and Marie and Becca, Jerry and Deb, Miss Lynn right there. Got several of them in the room. Colin, I don't know who this Colin guy is, but he's very close to my daughter in that picture, but wedding is coming up just in case you don't know. Justin and Rachel Porter, look at Paul bringing family members in, and we've got Pedro, he's back. He'd been with us 8 years ago and moved back to town. There's Todd, Paul bringing more people in, and then the Spicer family, we're glad to have them. So it's always good to see new faces joining us, and you know, I want to commend you all to just say thank you. When new people come in, when we always try to sit down and have coffee with them, get to hear their story, one of the things they always tell us is we're very friendly. We're very welcoming. People say hello. They go to them on purpose to greet them, and I thank you for that. Because if it was left up to me as the introvert, I can force myself to do it, but Amy can do it easily, but it's even beyond what the two of us can do. You guys do such an amazing job of welcoming people. You guys remember, like, the first time you went into a new church, don't you? What's that experience like? Awful, horrible, terrible. We've all been there, and I think what you do, our greeters are the first face they see, the people that are around the coffee bar, the people when they sit down and hear people just mingling and saying, hey, have we met before? Really helps to make people feel welcome, and I appreciate that from all of you, so thank you. Part of our annual plan is recommending some new leadership, and so we need to talk about a couple of new deacons this year. Matthew Becker and Eileen Tuttle are going to be rolling off as deacons, so that means that Kim Runge and Tricia Wheelock will be staying on. Just a reminder, how do our deacons work? It's kind of an evergreen position. Used to be we had terms and you could serve for 3 years and then you'd be asked to rotate off. Now we just kind of do an annual renewal with our deacons. And the reason we do that is because there are people that genuinely feel called to be a deacon. They feel like this is what God has made me, this is what I'm supposed to do. They know how to check in with people, take care of people, make people feel loved. And it didn't make any sense to me or the deacon or the elders to say, well, you can't do that for a year. But we also know that sometimes seasons of life take you out and you need more space. And so really every year we go to our deacons and we say, do you feel like you need to continue on? And so this year, because of just some life changes for Matthew Becker, he said, I feel like I need to rotate off. Eileen's a little different story. Hang on with that one. I'll tell you more about that one in just a second. So we still need a couple of deacons to come in. And as our elders prayed and we thought about it, we approached DeWynn. And DeWynn has been a part of Ashworth, 2015. That's almost 10 years. Wow, DeWynn's been around a while. We asked her, and she is a caring and loving individual. She's been involved in our church for a long time, and she was very honored to be asked. And so she responded yes, and we're very excited to see her step into this position at our church. Also, in deacon nominations, we have Miss Lindsay McDonald. Lindsay's back there. Now, Lindsay hasn't had anything happen in the last year. Her life has been so easy with no ups and downs. No. Lindsay, if you don't know Lindsay, is one amazing woman. Can I get an amen? If you don't know, Lindsay, after the birth of her second child, was diagnosed with cancer. And so really, most of the last year was her cancer treatment, which she has beat, and it's now in remission, praise God. Then, 2 months ago, maybe, close, roughly, their house caught on fire. Yeah, and they're currently living with Lindsay's brother-in-law, Luke, and as they wait to go through the process of basically a total loss of their house. So they get to rebuild from the foundation up. So Lindsay's been through a lot, but Lindsay just kind of takes it in stride and is just like, yeah, my house burned. It's fine, But she also is a very loving and caring individual. My daughter Liz has been the recipient of a lot of that with coffees and talks as she was at UNI and as she's come back home. And as we prayed through who needs to, maybe who could serve as a deacon, Lindsay's name rose to the top. And she graciously said yes, that she would be willing to serve. So that's who the elders bring to you today to consider for deacons over the next year or more, depending on how their service goes and how they feel in serving in that capacity. Next, we have elders. A few years ago, 2020, I think, is when we rotated to an elder structure. Our deacons previously had served as elders, but really didn't do much deaconing. And so we split those roles out so the deacons get to take care of people and check in on people and do all that stuff. The elders keep me in check and kind of make sure we're on track as a church. We're not doing anything we shouldn't be doing. They're kind of the guardrails for helping us stay where we need to be as a church. You see our leaders there, Brian Klett, he's back there. Noelle, talked about her in the service. Elizabeth is back there, and then I serve as an elder as well. And this year, Jude, who's been an elder for 4 years, is that right, Liz? He asked to rotate off this year, which of course we said, no, you cannot. And no, we said, sure. But as we prayed about elders, we prayed about a lot of different people, and we thought about a lot of different people. And in the end, we thought Eileen Tuttle. Now, I'm just going to tell the story, Eileen. Can I tell it? I've gone to Eileen before, and I've said, Eileen, I'd love for you to serve as an elder. And she said, nope, not going to do it. I refuse. So this time, when we decided to ask her, I sent my secret weapon, Liz Pavey, and she took her to coffee. And Eileen was approached again, and she said, I don't think so. I love being a deacon. But Liz said, let me tell you what it means to be an elder. Sometimes when it comes to church business, there's all kinds of stereotypes and horror stories that you can hear. And I'd be lying if I said Ashworth didn't have some of our own horror stories in our past. But I will tell you, we don't have any in the past 17 years or 12 years that I would say. Our elders are a great group of people. We love one another. There's no arguing and fighting. We pray together, which is our primary responsibility. And then we talk about the church, where we're going, things we need to be concerned about. We talk about people that maybe we need to check in on, that need to be, cared for, those kind of things, and make sure our deacons are doing what they need to do. But ultimately, it's a great group of people that I get to work with every month. And I know they have my back, I have their back. It's a great place to be. It's not contentious at all. And when we went and approached Eileen this time, after praying about it, she said, I'll do it. And I'm very excited to have Eileen step into this role. I think she will do an amazing, amazing job. Eileen, 2009 since you've been here? Wow, 15 years. You're just right behind me. Look at that. So I'm very excited to nominate on behalf of the elders, Dwayne and Lindsay as deacons, and Eileen as an elder. That's who we are as a community. Inside community, but we also pay attention in our ministry plan. We talk about connecting with our world around us, and you can see some things there on the screen that we take part in every year. Things I just want to highlight: our hot dog ministry. That's not something we started. That's something that Char Brady was burdened with, and she said, I go down to work at Bidwell, Riverside, and I see these homeless people, and I would love to be able just once a month to serve them a meal. Would Ashworth support us in that? And we said, you bet. So we provide the hot dogs and the buns and the water and the chili and all the stuff. And once a month, they go down and provide a free lunch for those that need it at Bidwell Riverside. And I see a few of you in the room that have gone to help them. I got to help them one time. It's a neat experience to go down there. And they're passionate about it, and everybody knows them there. Everybody knows Warren and Char, and it's a cool, cool ministry. India church planting, we've had the opportunity to partner with a couple of different organizations and help build 2 church buildings in India. India is not an easy place to build churches. In fact, we hear stories about people coming in and tearing them down to the ground. We have not heard that with the buildings we've been a part of, but I just want you to know I'm passionate about that. I think it's very cool that we help that, and we'll continue to do that. We're going to continue to find ways to partner with them. This goofy snow shack out here, Keegan, don't say anything. Oh, man. You know how you can have a love-hate relationship with things? That is our relationship with Ashworth Snow. I love it so much. I drive by, I see this parking lot full most nights during the summer, and I think, man, I'm glad we can be a part in this community. And then at 9:30 at night, my phone rings and the cash drawer's off and it won't connect and they've messed something up and I have to walk up here. That's the hate part of it. However, the love overwhelms the hate by far. And it's a beautiful ministry to our community. Yep, it funds itself. It takes care of itself. It gives a little bit of money back to the church for all it does. We have teenagers that basically run it, which is a good and bad thing. I'm not sure. But yeah, it's a really cool thing. And I'm really glad that we get to do that as a church. Zoo to You. Who came to Zoo to You? Yep, it's cool, isn't it? It's very simple. Somebody shows up with a few goats, baby cows, chicken, ducks, whatever. And we have 300 people show up out there, mostly from our learning center, but also our community. And it's great. I love doing those things, which leads me to talk about the Ashworth Learning Center. This was something that we started in 2020. Didn't open until 21. It took us that long to get everything together. Started with 11 kids the first week. We had 7 full-time staff working for us, and I was panicked because I thought, we can't pay payroll with this few kids. But then 2 weeks later, it doubled to over 30 kids, and right now we have over 100 kids every day in the building. And part of Ashworth Learning Center is we came and said, there's an opportunity for us to expand if we want to. There's a new thing right now called transitional kindergarten. A lot of parents aren't quite ready to send their very young 5-year-olds to kindergarten, and they want them to stay. Yeah, I heard an amen back there. And so they want their kids to have something other than just daycare, but also something not quite kindergarten. So we have created a transitional kindergarten. We added another room in the basement, so we added 2 more walls, 500 square feet, so that we can serve 15 additional kids with transitional kindergarten. And so it's going to be amazing. So our capacity is going to be, 125, Carrie? Something like that. We're going to limit it to about 115. We have 10 families that are on child care assistance, which is great because a lot of daycares didn't do that. There wasn't money in getting reimbursed by the state, but we went into this saying we wanted that. And we have room for more. If we had more, we would love to go up to 20 families that need child care assistance. And so it's a beautiful ministry. It's a loud ministry on some days, just so you know. I mean, they're crying on that end of the ring, and I can hear them all the way in my office. We have an amazing staff. I get to walk up and down the hall sometime and just see God's beautiful children. And it's amazing. And so I love that we have been able to do that as a church and partner with the Learning Center in making that happen. We're going to talk more about the Learning Center in a second. You see these pictures here. There's more turkey picking. There's hot dog ministry. There's a Christmas party for the Learning Center and India Church planting on that page. So the year ahead, I've already told you what we're looking at. I said it in my message, so I don't have to spend much time here. What are we doing? Fellowship by its many names. What are we talking about? Well, over the years, we've tried small groups, and we've tried Ashworth at Home, and we've tried discipleship groups, and if you can come up with a name for it, we've tried it, and it's all the same thing. It's trying to get people together to form authentic community in relationship. And so what we feel like is we've kind of been very scattered in the past. Let's bring that together. Doesn't mean everything will look the same and everybody's going to be cookie cutter one approach. It just means we need to focus there this next year to make sure we're getting people connected the way they need to be connected. What's that look like? I don't know yet. That's what we've got the next year to figure out. That's the fun part. So that's the first one. The second one is empowering our community. I consider it a privilege to be your pastor. I say that probably not enough, but I love you guys. I want you to know how committed, how serious I am about this. Somebody had asked me before, well, would you want to go pastor somewhere else? And the answer is no. I don't look at other jobs. My resume's not updated. Why? Because I really think you guys have spoiled me, number one. But I don't want to do this anywhere else. I love doing what we do together. So I'm here until you guys get tired of me or I, retire, which, and I'm good with that. But along the journey, I know that we've got some incredible, incredible people here. And it does us no good if me and the staff do everything. And there are gifts and callings out here among you that we want to figure out and say, how can we help you? How can we empower you to lean into how God has made you to be? And that's what we want to do as a focus this next year, is figure out ways to do that better. Because I admit, when I talk about God inviting us to join him in the work, I'm the world's worst. Just 2 weeks ago, my son in his car, his alternator went out. I did make them come outside and watch me change the alternator, but I didn't put the tools in their hands. I realize that's how I'm wired, okay? But we're going to change Brent's wiring just a little bit and start releasing some of that. Again, you know us. This isn't going to be guilt and shame. This isn't going to be sign up for 15 things. That defeats the purpose of the next thing we're going to talk about. But it is going to say, what do you want to do? What has God called you to do? And how can we release you to just be that for God? Okay? So that's number 2. The last thing is just this, spiritual formation focus. I mentioned this in the first service. I didn't say it in the second. We've had this focus for a while now. But I will tell you, over the last year, I've shared before, I've gone through what's called the Ignatian exercises. It was started by St. Ignatius. It's kind of a Catholic thing to do. I did it kind of in a very Protestant way. But it was probably one of the most transforming things I've ever been through in my life. And the formation that's happened in me, I'm going to keep sharing with you. I want us all to head down this path together. That means creating space. That means doing some things out of the box. It's probably going to mean some very countercultural things along the way. But again, it doesn't mean 15 things a week. It means things here and there that we open and offer for you to just be able to create space and connect with Jesus better. So those are the 3 things that are really our focus this next year. That doesn't mean we're not focusing on kids. Nope, kids are still a priority for us. Doesn't mean we're not focusing on youth. Youth is still a priority. Luke and Carrie and Jen Ballard are doing an amazing job with our kids and youth. We're very glad for them. They don't get enough credit or recognition because most of what they do isn't seen on the stage on Sunday. But they do an amazing job. In fact, give them a hand, would you? For all they do. Awesome. So let's look at this fun last slide here. How do we fund the vision? This was the fun one to put together this year because, as you may notice, for years our budget was here. And this year it went here. Why is that? Well, it's because of what we see just taking place. Our classic service back in the day was our bigger service. That classic service was just trained to give differently. And they give consistently and every week, and we're very grateful for that. But as that service has shrunk a little bit for various reasons, that income has shrunk a little bit as well. And so we are just responding to that, putting together a more realistic budget of where we are as a church. So what you see is general offerings there next year of $325,000, which will be roughly where we are this year. So we're kind of flatlining that. We already ask our learning center to cover building expenses, which they graciously do. They cover all the utilities. They cover all the building upkeep. Amazingly enough, and they cover office supplies, the copier lease, and those kind of things. Lawn care, yep, those kind of things. It works out roughly $50,000 to $60,000 a year that they cover right now, which is amazing. But as they continue to expand and use more space, we're going to get a little bit more money from the Learning Center this year. So that's where the ALC lease comes in. Other income is basically interest that we get on some small investments and things that we have. And then you see we do get some money from Ashworth Snow every year. And so that leads to a budget total income in the next year of $356,000. You look at the expenses, most of the expenses kind of stay in line with where we've been. Missions giving is a percentage of where we've been. We have no mortgage, online banking fees, those kind of things. But everything is just kind of coming across as it has been. The one thing I want to point out is our capital reserve fund, whenever we paid off our mortgage, one of the things we decided to do was take that money and set it back in our capital reserve fund. Every month we move $2,500. What's that for? That's for the big expenses that we don't have yet but know are coming. In the past, it's replaced almost every air conditioning unit and furnace in this building. And what it does is it gives us a fund to pay for those things so that when we see the profit and loss or the income statement in the monthly thing, you don't go, where'd the $12,000 go? Why did we have an additional $12,000 expense? Nope, that comes out of this fund. And you can see on there, we've got almost $70,000. Now you think, that's a lot of money. Well, it is and it isn't. Because one of the next big things, there's two kind of things that kind of sit in the back of my mind right now. Number one is an elevator. We don't put anybody in the elevator on purpose because we're not always sure that it's going to get where it's supposed to go. So eventually, we know that's either going to have to be removed or replaced. Removal is going to be, it's like $15,000 to remove it, maybe $25,000. To replace it is like $50,000 to $70,000. So yeah, fun times. The other big expense that we know is within the next 3 to 5 years probably is the parking lot. It's looking a little rough. It's dated. If you may have noticed over there in front of the church sign, there used to be a pothole that's now been filled in. You're welcome. You can order asphalt from Home Depot. And I put it there, and you should have been here. I called Carrie, and I said, Carrie, bring your car over here. So I'd throw some asphalt in, I'd say, drive over it. Throw asphalt in, drive over it. To the right. No, move this way. Now, come on, here we go. And back up, and just like this. We know that exists. We know it's there. We know it's coming. So that's why we continue, and we hopefully continue to put $30,000 a year back in that fund just to help us so that we're not ever sitting here going, oh my goodness, how do we pay for this? New parking lot, depending on how much we have to do, is going to be $100,000 to $150,000, just so you know. Those things ain't cheap. But God's been very good to us. God has been very good to us. Even as we've seen some of our income go down, our staff does a great job of monitoring expenses. Part of having the Learning Center, I'll be honest, the vision years ago when we started talking about this as elders was seeing the writing on the wall, knowing that income was going to be coming down possibly. How do we supplement that, knowing that the Learning Center could do that? And I praise God for the Learning Center. Carrie does an amazing job leading it. We have, like I said again, a great staff team, 100 kids. We are not the most expensive daycare in town. We're not the cheapest, but we're within the top 3 cheapest daycares in town because we're trying to find that balance of affordability and paying our staff as much as we can. And I look here and I see Matt Keppen. He's on our board for our CDC, the Community Development Corporation, that helps us oversee that. Liz and I sit on that as well. Nobody else is here on that one, right? Ben's not here, Jen's not here. So, but everybody that's on that CDC board is a part of Ashworth at this point. So you see at the end of May, we had a couple $100,000 in the bank, which is helpful. Some of that is cash reserves as well. If something were to happen, God forbid another pandemic, we're okay for a while. God has been very good to us. Your generosity is very much reflected in this. We're very grateful for that. We couldn't do what we do or be the church that we are without your faithful giving. And so we say thank you. So you see that we put all the numbers in. Everything kind of stays a little bit flat. Oh, I will say this too. When it comes to ministry expenses, our ministries have whatever they want, to be honest. They just don't ask for much. But I'm always saying, Luke, you need to ask for more money if you need it. You need to use more money, Luke, if you need it. We are never asking our ministries to scale back unnecessarily. In fact, we want to continue to encourage them. If they need it, we want them to have it. But they do a really good job of doing a lot with spending a little money, and we're very grateful for that too. So, awesome. You see, we do have some cash reserves. We have some endowments that we've started years ago, and so you see those balances there. And then the last few pages of this talk about generosity, how you can give. A lot of our giving at this point comes through online giving, which is great. We do have the endowments. If you have extra cash and you want some tax benefits to giving, come see me. And there are some things we can talk about and how you can give and get special tax breaks for giving to the endowment. Or if you have stock, we do take stock, and you can avoid some capital gains that way, and we can help you with that. Things like that. If you are into estate planning and you think, man, I love Ashworth, I want to see it continue on in the future, and you want to include Ashworth in your will, we would love to see that as well. And then, of course, we're continuing to invest in the CDC, our community development arm, constantly looking for new opportunities there. How do we make a difference? So there's our plan, there's our budget, there's our leadership. I've talked a while. Questions, comments? Well, I'll take a drink. I'm taking that to mean I just do such a fabulous job explaining everything. Is that how I read that? Yes. Awesome. You guys do know that this isn't a top-down organization where I sit behind a closed door. If at any point you have questions, if any point you want to know what's going on, you want more details, whatever, my door's always open. I'm here Monday through Friday, usually 7 a.m. till about 4 p.m. most of the time. I do step out to write sermons and stuff because I can't do it here, but too many crying children. But our doors are always open if you ever have anything that you want to know. Last call. Any questions? If not, so here's how this works formally. Oh, go ahead, Jim.
I would just like to say how much I believe that we all are delighted that you want to stay and be with this church.
Thank you.
You epitomize the love that this church has. And I'd like to ask everybody to give Brent up.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thanks for that, Jim. I hope you guys do know those aren't just words for me as far as like saying I want to be here. It really is. I don't want to do this anywhere else with anyone else. This is, 12 years ago when crazy Karen Smith over here, who led the search committee, asked me to be the lead pastor. Nowhere on my radar had I thought I want to do this. But I did feel very confident that God said, Brent, I want you to step into this. And I can remember for quite a while just feeling a panicked feeling, honestly, if I'm just very blunt. I mean, it was like, oh God, what have you gotten me into? But over the years, I love you guys. I love this church. I love what we're able to do. You guys don't understand. You guys give us so much freedom to try and experiment and just be goofy. And if we fail, that's okay. You're not there to criticize us or beat us down. You're like, okay, pick yourself up and let's try something else. And you don't get this at every church, just so you know. You don't get this everywhere. I say it meaning it. We're a unicorn. Now, we're not the only unicorn, but we are a unicorn in the way we do things, in the way you love each other, and the makeup of this church with Republicans and Democrats and, just in young and old and multi-generational, multi-diversity. I mean, it's a unique place to be. And I love coming to work every day. Most days. Yeah, most days. Any other questions or comments? Last call. All right, so this has been presented by the elders. So because of that, the rules say we don't need a second from the crowd because it comes from a committee. So we've already had discussion. So we'll close discussion. So now it'll just be all in favor. Say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Say no. Unanimous. That carries. So this is our plan for the next year. Thank you all. Thanks for sticking around. We try to make it easy. Try to feed some of the first service pizza to make you stick around. So we're willing to do that. Awesome. We're done. Go have an amazing rest of your day. It's 75 degrees outside. So go enjoy the beautiful day. God bless you guys. We'll see you next Sunday.